This is Midday Live. Let's start with our stories. And a special task force has been deployed to the Nkonya Alavanyo township following the death of 2 persons in researched violence in the area on Wednesday. 2 others sustained gun wound shots. Now, the renewed violence occurred barely 2 hours after a curfew imposed on the area was reviewed on Wednesday by the Interior Minister. Alavanyo-Nkonya have been under a dusk to dawn curfew over a protracted land dispute spanning almost a century. Meanwhile, an emergency meeting of the Security Council in Nkonya was held this morning with the military helping to maintain law and order. So bringing you some more on this very issue shortly. Remember, you can also get interactive. Join us on our social media platforms, Facebook and Twitter, News on TV3. And tell us what exactly you know about this dispute. If you're in and around that area, you can also send your comments on what you've observed and seen as well. So very shortly, I will be speaking to Emmanuel Kutin. He is Executive Director of Africa Center for Security and Counterterrorism, who's joining me via Skype. Thanks for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Now, at least with data available to us, it appears people die every year as a result of clashes in that very part of the country. That's the Volta region. Now, do you think governments over the years have underrated this particular conflict?
Thank you, and good afternoon to you. In fact, look at the conflict in Alavanyo between the Nkonyas, who were initially the landowners, and the Alavanyos migrated to settle with them in the 80s. I think the conflict has sort of remained insoluble, primarily because of human need factors. And these need factors have been manifested in the land in question and its related issues such as security, justice, and peace, among others, which have not been well attended to over the years. And like you said rightly, I think the governments over the period have not managed the conflict well. But there's one remarkable thing. We are in the 21st century, and the era when communities acquire territories through war or by force of arms is gone for good. So the way to go is good neighborliness and respect for law and order, which should be the hallmark of every statesmanship. And that is the essence of democracy. So I will appeal to the warrior faction to allow good neighborliness to prevail among them. If you look at the curfew that has been imposed in the region over the period, innocent people have suffered it. And I think it's high time they resolve within themselves through the spirit of good neighborliness that enough is enough. If you look at the committee that was put out, set up by His Majesty Otumfo, I think they did a very good job, but they celebrated the successes too early. Another thing we are not looking at is the proliferation of arms.
Okay.
There are too many illicit arms in private individuals' hands. So at the least provocation, they attempted to use those arms. So I think these are the angles we need to be looking at and see how we can correctly this time get this issue resolved once and for all.
Now, if I can cut you there, you have mentioned a bit about what the factions could do, what traditional authorities have done so far, but government also has a role to play. We have a relatively new government. Past governments have done their bit, which you could tell whether, from your point of view, is enough or not. But for this new government, what exactly should be the strategy? Well, on the back of what you've mentioned regarding the factions and then what traditional authorities have done so far?
I think I will advise the government to only give support when that support is required, but they shouldn't get directly involved beyond keeping law and order. You see, this is a land dispute, which have connotation in chieftaincy and those kind of things. I think the solution should come from the chiefs themselves. You see, we have the regional House of Chiefs, and if you go back to memory lane, you realize there have even been an appeal court ruling over this issue, but both sides have refused not to respect that appeal court ruling. More often than not, if government take prominent steps in resolving the problem, they get bastarded in political lenses that they are supporting one group or the other. That's why I would advise government not to get involved, but the chieftaincy institution itself should try and find out mechanisms they can use. And if government support is required, the government lend that support. I think the committee put out by His Majesty Otumfuo, they did quite a remarkable job. It's quite a surprise some of us are waking up this morning to see this incident. So it means that they prematurely celebrated their successes. Because if you look at the curfew had been reviewed from the initial where we had 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. to around 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. It means that the situation was improving. The security agencies were just monitoring the situation to a point they can remove the curfew until this incident happened. So these are the things we should be looking at. Like I mentioned, the illegal arms that are in the hands of people. What are our security agencies doing to prevent such arms in going to conflict areas? Those are the angles we should be looking at moving forward.
All right, well, thank you very much. I have been speaking with Emmanuel Kutin. Thanks so much for your time, sir. He's Executive Director of the Africa Center for Security and Counterterrorism, and he spoke to us via Skype on matters arising in Alavanyo and Nkonya and Alavanyo. But we are also trying to reach the Volta Regional Minister, and as and when we do reach him, he'll give us some more updates on what exactly is happening here. But like we mentioned earlier on, a special task force has been deployed to Alavanyo-Nkonya Township following the death of 2 persons in researched violence in the area on Wednesday. Sustained gunshot wounds and the renewed violence occurred barely 2 hours after a curfew imposed on the area was reviewed on Wednesday by the Interior Minister. And Alavanyo-Nkonya have been under a dusk to dawn curfew over the protracted land dispute spanning almost a century. Now, so let me quickly take you back to what exactly happened and why we're seeing what we're seeing now. And from our touch screen, the Alavanyo-Nkonya conflict. Now, Alavanyo's migrated from Sevipe through Ekrofo to Severe near Kpando to settle on a land allocated to them by Nkonya about 1840, that's several years ago. And then they created 7 settlements on farmlands originally owned by Nkonyas. Hence, they named some of their villages to the dominant tree crops found around the settlements: deme palm trees, agome, that's date palm trees, akohoi huts made from date palm fronds, and then Abenasa, that's overgrown tall palm trees. And this is how what we're seeing exactly happened, and that's where the conflict started. And this conflict has lasted for 95 years with no solution in sight. Traditional authorities have played their roles. Factions have also played their roles. There seemed to have been some resolution, but we're hearing that the conflict has erupted again. In statistics since 2013 dates, we have some dates and number of deaths recorded so far. For 2013, 4 were injured, and then 2014 we saw 1 death, many injured. For 2013 we saw 4 deaths, many injured. 2015 we saw 1 death, many injured. 2016, 2 deaths, many injured. 2017, 2 deaths, many injured. So these are some of the statistics and a brief history of what exactly happened and then what caused the Alavanyo-Nkonya conflicts. Remember, like I mentioned earlier on, we're trying to reach the Volta Regional Minister. As and when we get him, we'll talk to him and he's going to tell us some more updates on what exactly happened, because this morning the security forces were there. They have met with them, and then there's a dusk to dawn curfew relating to this very issue. If you're also in the Volta region or very close to that very area, you can send your comments on our social media platforms. Facebook and Twitter is News on TV3. So we'll stick to the story, and then when we get the minister, we'll speak to him. But let's move on to other stories. The Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, John Peter Amewu, says security will be beefed up in all Galamsey areas to ensure positive results are achieved. Over 500 excavators used in illegal mining operations have been retrieved across the country. This is in response to a 3-week ultimatum given to operators to halt their activities. Now I'm told that we do have the Volta Regional Minister on the phone line. We'll be speaking with him shortly for some updates on what exactly has happened regarding the conflict and what is being done about it. Good afternoon, sir, and thanks for your time. Dr. Richard, that's Dr. Archibald Letcher.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Now, can you update us on the current situation in the Volta region now?
Thank you very much. We've had this protracted dispute between a family in Nkonya and a family in Alavanyo-Nkonya. So it's not like Alavanyo and Nkonya people are at war. But we have this dispute, the land dispute between families that has been protracted. And the previous governments have tried to do something to maintain peace in the area. And we have also done the same. But in January this year, there was an incident where somebody was killed at Alavanyo on the farm. So we took precautions, because usually when this is happening, there are reprisal attacks. So we tried to go to the community, we educated people, we went to the Peace Council, District Security Council, Regional Security Council, and the people assured us that this was not going to happen again. So we were quite surprised that yesterday afternoon at 4:30 p.m., people who were going about their normal activities were shot at in the afternoon, in broad daylight. And unfortunately, 2 lost their lives, and 1 is in the hospital being attended to by the doctors. So we sent security men to the area to try and maintain the peace so that there are no reprisal attacks and so that there are no direct confrontation between the communities, because we've always had military presence in the area. And so we have to beef it up with the presence of the police. So as of now, calm has returned to the area, and this is Security Council has met. And they are yet to brief us, but the Regional Security Council members, some of them are on the ground right now, and they are giving us updated on developments. And so far, there's peace in the area. But my only appeal to the people of the area is that they must allow peace to prevail, because without peace, there cannot be any development in the area. We don't want any more lives to be lost. And we want to appeal to citizens of Alavanyo and Nkonya who are in the diaspora, assuring them that the security agencies are on top of the issues, and therefore they should help us to make sure that their people remain calm and wait for the security agencies to conclude their investigation. Because whether we like it or not, whether it's land or not, this is murder. And we need to investigate and find out who the perpetrators are, and if possible, bring them to book. Now,
2 quick questions before I let you go. You mentioned, or you touched on what happened in January. Is that what has triggered this very recent incident? And the last one about the peace. Do you see any indication from both sides that they're willing to maintain peace and order in their very area?
Yeah, the chiefs have given us that assurance. The security agencies are also doing their best. But I can assure you that 99% of the people in the area want peace. But in every community, you have the badness who would always foment trouble. And it is the responsibility of the majority to expose the wrongdoers in the community. But when things happen like this, and you go to a community to investigate, and everybody is tight-lipped, it's very difficult to identify the perpetrators. But the police are doing their best to get to the bottom of the matter so that whoever is responsible for this act can be brought to book.
Okay.
Yes, it's a land dispute, but it doesn't mean that you should take the law into your hands to go and murder people. And so we are treating them as criminals, and I think that the law will be made to take its course. Whilst we are making efforts to build the peace.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, sir. I have been speaking to the Volta Regional Minister. But away from that very story, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, John Peter Amewu, says security will be beefed up in all Galamsey, given to operators to halt their activities.
The team made whistle stops in several communities, including Akaten, Kobreso in the Upper West Achim, Penaman in the Denchambua district, and Mosiaso in the Tiwa district. Operators were not on site and their excavators were parked. Some operators had also reclaimed land they had worked on. It was evident that illegal activity is impacting negatively on the environment.
If you visit our area, you will see how polluted the water is. It is so pathetic and disturbing.
20 excavators were withdrawn from Achim Oda, 120 from Asankwegwa, 20 from Asenfosu, and again 120 from Bibiani. 200 were also picked from Dunkwao, 25 from Konongo, and 40 from Takwa. The Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, John Peter Amewu, pointed out security will be beefed up in all the Galamsey areas to ensure positive results are achieved.
Some of the chiefs, not all of them who have connived in this exercise. There are some of them that are actually fighting. I know some chiefs who report all the time about illegalities.
The withdrawal of these machines, they are not surrendering it to us. But the good thing is that they have actually realized the importance of the directive. We need to sustain this. As human and as Ghanaians, as we all believe, their thinking might be, in the next 3-4 weeks, we'll go back to the site. And that is why education is very important.
You're still watching Midday Live. Let's move on to other stories. And this is a trending issue. The Youth Employment Agency has suspended the payment of allowances to beneficiaries. This was after the agency discovered discrepancies after a preliminary audit of their payroll. The audit revealed that some 2,999 beneficiaries of the youth employment agencies who were no longer at post continue to withdraw their allowances, and some others that have come up. But this afternoon, I have been joined in the studio by the acting deputy CEO in charge of operations at the Youth Employment Agency. That's Bashiru Ibrahim. Good afternoon and thanks for your time.
Good afternoon. Now,
what else was contained in the audit and how has it saved the agency and the taxpayers?
Yeah, let me say good afternoon to you. If you look at the release that we have signed, the Youth Employment Agency, as we have come to meet it, is actually in the deep trouble, in the sense that January when we took over, we were told that we needed about 60 million Ghana cedis to pay beneficiary allowance. By February, the number had jumped from 60 million Ghana cedis to over 30 million Ghana cedis. Then the new CEO, together with management, sat back and said, no, we can't have this. We need to go into our payroll and find out exactly how come that you were using 60 million Ghana cedis and today you need over 30-something million Ghana cedis to pay. Then we realized that there's a serious rot in the Youth Employment Agency. My sister, as we speak, myself together with the acting CEO went around to 8 regions, with the exception of Ashanti region and Branhafo region. And what we uncovered is amazing, it's mind-boggling, that you have thousands of people who are not at post and yet they continue to draw salary allowances. The figure we have today is about 2,999. That is just the preliminary investigations that we have done. And so the management took a decision that, look, we need a complete audit of the entire youth employment agency, especially the payroll and the staff. So we commissioned the internal audit agency to undertake this audit and to give us exactly the picture, and that will inform us the way forward.
Okay, so now I know that some of the measures you've put in place to ensure transparency is to suspend the payments of all allowances to beneficiaries. So will these beneficiaries still be at post? Do they understand what exactly is happening? What is the way forward?
Let me put it in context that they are supposed to be at post, and we will pay every single beneficiary. And I want to put that on record. We will pay every single beneficiary as long as you have a valid appointment letter, you have a valid assumption of duty letter, and indeed where you were posted. If we go there and we do the checks, and is that on daily basis you have been working, we will pay you after the audit. Even if the audit will take us 3 months, we will hold the allowances. After the 3 months, if we are convinced that you have worked, we will pay you the arrears. Look, the preliminary investigation we have done, my sister, we have saved this country, the taxpayer, over 1 million Ghana cedis.
Okay.
Which means that every month, this country will be saving 1 million Ghana cedis.
How long will this audit take? Because you mentioned that even if it takes 3 months, is there a time frame for
We are expecting that by the close of second week of May, the auditors would have given us a preliminary draft report. But what we are picking from the field right now is that by 20th, 25th, they should be able to give us a comprehensive report. You see, there's panic. People are saying that, oh, you have suspended allowances, you are not going to get it, are we going to continue to work? Let me assure all beneficiaries.
How many are they in total?
Total beneficiaries on our payroll?
Yes.
That is a difficult answer.
But you work there.
Yes,
and
you know why I'm saying so?
Not too long ago.
I'm saying this because, look, between October, November, December alone, the previous administration, I'm talking of Youth Employment Agency, had a target to recruit over 100,000, and they had recruited over 65,000. On daily basis, the numbers keep on rising. And it is amazing. That is why we decided to halt it. Let us have an audit. Let us have an exact number of people who are qualified to be on our payroll. So if we are paying, then we know that we are not paying to names or people who are not actually working. You see, it's important to appreciate one thing. The Youth Employment Agency is one agency that provides livelihood to thousands of youth. And it is the taxpayers' money. We don't generate income. It's the taxpayers' money. The road that we have uncovered...
Recruitment as well? Or is that not part of it?
No, we're not part of recruitment. In fact, if you listen to His Excellency the Vice President, and when he was delivering the 100 days, he did indicate clearly that by May, the Youth Employment Agency will be recruiting around 80,000. And that is exactly what we are committed.
And you're confident that by then, all the audit and all the issues in there would have been resolved?
Yeah, of course. Don't forget, my sister, that these challenges that have bedeviled the Youth Employment Agency. Well, the one thing that I want to stress here is the fact that the e-switch, if you are familiar with e-switch, is just like a pin code. You cannot have two people using one e-switch. As it stands now, we have uncovered over 1,168 people on our payroll, either 2 or 3 people using the same e-switch. What it simply means is that in a month, you could be paying monies, let's say, one person could be receiving monies that is meant for 3 people. That is exactly what it means. And we are saying that we need to hold this. We need to ensure that this kind of rot that has bedeviled our system is clean. We are lucky, as we speak. We are working under...
So I'm sure when the audit is finally out, we'll have you here again to tell us a lot more on what has been done.
I am always more than ready to be in TV3 to let you know what is happening at the Youth Employment
Thank you so much.
Agency.
I have been speaking with the acting Deputy CEO in charge of operations at the Youth Employment Agency, Bashiru Ibrahim. And let's move on to other stories. You're still watching Midday Live. Contractors working on the Kaswa interchange say it has about 90%, it is about 90% complete and is due to be officially handed over to government on June 16 this year. The contractors have therefore started mounting safety signs on sections of the road as the project nears completion.
The Minister for Roads and Highways, Kwesi Amakwata, last 2 weeks gave the Department of Urban Roads a directive to put in place all the safety measures in the Gas South Municipality and Kaswa. Construction began in December 2014 to reduce traffic on the Accra-Cape Coast Road.
I can specify that.
Okay, all right, then you're still watching Midday Live, and the First Lady, Rebecca Akufo-Addo, has tasked Queen mothers and opinion leaders to initiate the conversation to caution young girls against being lured to work abroad as domestic helpers, which often ends badly. Speaking at the ceremony of the 23rd District 18 Zonta International Conference in Accra, the First Lady also condemned sex trafficking in the country, challenging churches and women groups to provide lasting solutions to this problem. Now, this afternoon in the studio, I do have Zonta Susan von Vassovitz, who is the president-elect of Zonta International and then Zonta International Foundation. Congratulations on your elections.
Thank you.
Now, as the new president, what would be your focus for your tenure?
My focus is very easy because Zonta will be 100 years old in 2019. So, and this centennial anniversary is a great opportunity for us to raise more awareness on the topics we work at, and it is a wonderful thing to bring the organization together. So that is what I'm looking forward to. Okay. So to use this time to the fullest to do as much good for women and girls as we can.
And talking about girls, how do you hope to use your various branches to ensure the rights of children, but specifically of girls, are protected? I just read in some bit where the First Lady was talking about girls going abroad, lured into working as sex slaves all across the globe. What would you do specifically on this?
We already do several things specifically on this. So we work with UN agencies, partner with them in various countries. So for instance, right now a big project in Nepal that is against human trafficking. So we work with the victims, we try to prevent, of course, we try to go to the root causes so that nothing bad happens. So that is only one thing. In other countries, we do almost similar things, similar direction. So prevention to violence. We did a big project in Vietnam to educate girls and boys how to behave differently when they feel upset. So not to turn to violence and all that. So it is, this is one thing. The other thing is we do a lot of advocacy at the governmental levels and the UN levels. So we are working very hard with governments regionally and globally at the UN level.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your time. I have been speaking with Zonta Susan von Vassovitz. She is the president-elect of Zonta International and Zonta International Foundation. Thank you so much for your time. You're still watching Midday Live.